Admiral Volkov watches the council representatives vanish from her displays. Their dismissive attitude confirms what she's suspected for years. Humanity is alone among the stars. She turns to her senior staff, their faces grim in the blue glow of tactical displays. "Authorization Nova 7 Alpha," she says, her voice steady despite the weight of the decision. "Wake them all." Her second-in-command, Vice Admiral Hassan, steps forward. "The Council will consider this an act of war." "They already committed one," Volkov replies, bringing up Lieutenant Commander Chen's footage. She freezes on a frame showing the alien vessels. These ships don't match any known pirate configuration. The attack was too coordinated, too efficient. She zooms in on strange markings along the hull. "And these symbols, I've seen them before, in restricted synorchaeology reports. Across Earth's hidden military installations, sophisticated quantum encryption keys activate long-dormant systems. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, the rumble of massive fusion engines disrupts whale migration patterns. Inside hollowed-out asteroids, crews who have trained for years on simulators now rush to real battle stations." Lieutenant Commander Chen drifts in and out of consciousness in the medical bay of Space Station Artemis. Her injuries are severe: 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding, radiation exposure. The ship's AI had kept her alive during the 17-day journey from New Proxima, administering precisely calculated doses of nanomedicines that pushed the boundaries of what was legally permitted under Council restrictions. "Lieutenant Commander," a doctor says, gently rousing her, "we need to know more about what you saw." Chen's eyes flutter open. "How many? How many made it out?" The doctor's silence is answer enough. 5,000 people, Chen whispers. Families, children. They didn't even fight. Just harvested them. Her hand trembles as she reaches for the doctor's tablet. "I managed to download their navigational data before I escaped. They're not stopping with New Proxima." At Harvard University, Professor Marcus Okoro receives an unexpected call on a secure channel he never thought would activate. The quantum-encrypted message is brief. "Redshift protocol initiated." He cancels his afternoon lecture without explanation and walks calmly to his office, where he retrieves a small case hidden behind a false panel. Inside is a neural interface that bypasses the Council's restrictions on human AI development. 12 minutes later, he connects to Earth's most advanced defense system, a distributed intelligence that has been quietly observing the galaxy through covert probes and dormant satellites, gathering intelligence the Council never suspected humans possessed. "Show me what we know about the attackers," he commands. The display fills with information: ancient legends from a dozen species, redacted Council reports, astronomical anomalies, and fragmented distress calls spanning centuries. A pattern emerges: civilizations that expand too quickly simply disappear. Not through war or natural disaster, but systematically, clinically. In her quarters, Admiral Volkov reviews personnel files for the fleet commanders. Most have never served on actual warships. The Council's restrictions meant that humanity's true navy existed only in simulation and shadow training. Captain James Reeves stands out, former Special Forces, decorated for actions during the Mars insurgency, psychological profile showing a perfect blend of calculated aggression and strategic patience. She authorizes his command of the Leviathan, humanity's first true dreadnought, built in secret over 15 years. "Admiral," her comm officer interrupts. "Council enforcement vessels are changing course. 6 cruisers now heading toward Luna Construction Zone Alpha." Volkov's expression hardens. They're too late. The fleet is already awakening. She opens a secure channel to all Nova Initiative commanders. "This is Admiral Volkov. Launch protocol initiated. Rendezvous at coordinates Theta 9. Prepare for immediate combat deployment." The time for hiding humanity's teeth is over. Captain Reeves walks the length of the Leviathan's main gunnery deck, running his hand along the massive accelerator rail that forms the ship's primary weapon. Around him, Crew members calibrate targeting systems and load specialized ammunition, technologies that officially don't exist. Impressive, isn't it? Chief Engineer Maya Patel falls into step beside him. 3 kilometers of magnetic acceleration coils can launch a 20-ton tungsten rod at 15% light speed. Her eyes gleam with pride. When this hits something, it doesn't just damage it. It turns the target into superheated plasma. And the Council never suspected. Reeves asks, watching technicians and exoskeletons maneuver warheads into loading bays. Patel smiles. That's the beautiful part. We built it in plain sight. Official records show this as a civilian deep space research vessel. The weapon systems are disguised as gravitational research equipment. Half the construction crews didn't even know what they were really building. On the command deck, Commander Takeda supervises the final systems check. The bridge hums with nervous energy as crew members who have only worked together in simulations now prepare for actual combat. Navigation systems online, reports Lieutenant Santos. Stealth systems engage. Weapons, Takeda asks. Main accelerator charged to 80% capacity. Point defense grid operational. Missile tubes loaded and ready. Takeda nods with satisfaction and turns as Captain Reeves enters the bridge. Captain on deck. Reeves waves off the formality. Status report, Commander. All systems operational. Crew at 97% readiness. She hesitates. Sir, I should note that while our simulation training is comprehensive, over 70% of the crew has never served in actual space combat. None of us have faced what's coming, Commander, Reeves replies. Not even the Council. That might be our advantage. On his private display, he reviews the scattered intelligence about their enemy. The Harvesters, as Lieutenant Commander Chen called them, have attacked isolated colonies from at least 6 different species over the past century. Each incident was classified by the Council as piracy or natural disaster. Each resulted in the complete disappearance of the colony. A priority communication interrupts his review. Admiral Volkov's face appears on his screen. Captain, the Council's enforcement fleet has changed course. They're heading to intercept the Leviathan and 2 other vessels. Estimated contact in 43 minutes. Reeves processes this. Orders, Admiral. Avoid engagement if possible. We need every ship for what's coming. Volkov's expression is grim. But if they fire first, show them what we've built. In Earth orbit, General Okoi oversees the loading of his Marine battalions onto assault carriers. Unlike the larger warships, these vessels were built openly, but their true capabilities remain classified. What the Council believes are simple troop transports actually house advanced drop pods capable of penetrating planetary defenses and atmospheric insertion systems that can deploy an entire company in under 3 minutes. 2nd and 3rd Battalions loaded, Sir, his adjutant reports. 1st Battalion reports a delay with the combat mechs. Okoi frowns. What's the issue? The neural interface calibration is taking longer than expected. These aren't the Council-approved models. The General nods. The Council-approved combat exoskeletons were little more than powered armor. What his Marines are loading are true combat mechs. 4-meter-tall walking weapons platforms with integrated plasma cannons and reactive armor. Tell them they have 20 minutes, he orders. We're launching with or without them. In the medical bay of the Leviathan, Lieutenant Commander Chen insists on being released despite doctors' objections. She applies neural stim patches to her damaged leg. The fleet needs every experienced officer, she argues, and I'm the only one who's seen these creatures up close. The chief medical officer reluctantly signs her release. Bridge or tactical? Chen's eyes harden with determination. Tactical. I want to help target these things myself. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet emerges from concealment. 57 warships of various classes, from agile corvettes to massive dreadnoughts. They form up in battle groups and begin accelerating toward the rendezvous point. From his observation post on Karen, Astronomer Dr. White watches the fleet's energy signatures bloom across his instruments like deadly flowers. "May the gods help us all," he whispers to the empty station. The dragons are awake. The Leviathan's sensors paint a grim picture of New Proxima surface. What was once a thriving colony of 5,000 souls now resembles an archaeological dig site, methodically dismantled, with precision that speaks of practiced efficiency rather than random destruction. They've taken everything of value. Lieutenant Chen observes from her tactical station. Manufacturing equipment, power cores, data centers, even the colonists' personal belongings. Her voice tightens. It's not destruction. It's inventory management. Captain Reeves studies the holographic display of the Harvester Processing Center, established on New Proxima's outer moon. The alien structure sprawls across the lunar surface, connected by transport tubes and surrounded by smaller vessels. Thermal signatures indicate significant power generation. "Life signs?" he asks. "Concentrated in these 6 structures," Chen replies, highlighting sections of the complex. Environmental conditions match Earth normal inside those buildings. Everywhere else shows atmospheric compositions toxic to humans. Commander Takeda completes her analysis of the Harvester fleet. 17 vessels total. Configuration indicates specialized functions: harvesting, processing, transport. Only 3 appear to be dedicated combat ships. They weren't expecting resistance, Reeves notes. Status of the rescue teams. Colonel Santos reports dropships ready for launch. Marine strike teams standing by. Reeves makes his decision. Deploy the stealth drones first. I want detailed scans of their defenses before we commit our people. On the Marine assault carrier Normandy, Colonel Amara Santos briefs her strike teams. The soldiers, men and women who have trained for years in secret facilities on Earth, Mars, and Titan, check their advanced combat suits. Unlike the bulky exoskeletons permitted by Council regulations, these are sleek, form-fitting systems with reactive armor that hardens on impact and neural interfaces that allow for thought-speed reactions. Intel suggests the colonists are being kept in stasis, Santos explains, her voice carrying through the squad's private comm channel. Priority 1 is securing these locations and preventing the harvesters from moving the prisoners. Second priority is capturing their computer systems intact. We need to know where they've taken the other colonists. A young lieutenant raises his hand. "Ma'am, what kind of resistance should we expect?" Santos displays footage from Lieutenant Commander Chen's escape. The harvesters move with unsettling grace despite their bulky frames, 3 meters tall with multiple limbs and exoskeletons that seem partially biological. They carry weapons that emit focused gravity distortions rather than traditional projectiles or energy beams. Their tech is advanced, but their tactics are straightforward, Santos explains. They don't expect prey to fight back. Use that against them. The stealth drones return with detailed scans of the harvester base. Captain Reeves and his tactical team pore over the data, identifying defensive systems and patrol patterns. The alien technology presents both challenges and opportunities. Their sensors appear more advanced than human equivalents, but they have surprising blind spots. They use gravitational sensors primarily, Chen points out. Our ships built with Council-approved detection systems would be instantly visible, but the stealth technology we developed independently. They can't see what they don't know to look for, Reeves concludes. He opens a channel to the fleet. All vessels, prepare for synchronous attack. Cruiser Groups 1 and 2 will engage the orbital defenders. Destroyer Squadron 4, target their communication array. We need to isolate this base before they can call for reinforcements. He turns to Lieutenant Chen. You're certain about the stasis pod locations? Chen's face is drawn but determined. I watched them load people I knew into those chambers. I'm certain. Then we're going in. Reeves activates the ship-wide communication system. All hands, battle stations, weapon systems to active status. He pauses, aware that his next words will irrevocably commit humanity to a course that will change the galaxy. Launch the dropships, Initiate Operation Gauntlet. The Leviathan's massive hull splits open along predetermined seams, revealing launch bays where sleek, predatory craft wait. Marine dropships, fighter escorts, and combat drones pour forth in a carefully choreographed sequence. Simultaneously, the Dreadnought's main weapon systems power up, targeting arrays locking onto the largest harvester vessels. The first shots of humanity's war for survival are about to be fired, and the galaxy will never be the same. Admiral Volkov stares at the holographic display, showing the carnage at New Proxima. The battle footage from the Leviathan plays in grim detail. Human ships tearing through harvester vessels with unexpected ferocity. Marine drop teams breaching alien facilities to extract colonists from stasis chambers. The Council representatives watch in uncomfortable silence. "You claim ignorance," Volkov says finally, her voice dangerously calm. "Yet your own records contradict you." She gestures and fragments of classified Council documents appear. Reports spanning centuries, detailing encounters with the harvesters across dozens of star systems. Each report ends with the same conclusion: non-intervention. "We recovered these from the harvester base," Volkov continues. "They had access to your most secure databases. They knew which colonies would be defended and which were expendable." The Exilarian ambassador's mandibles click nervously. "You don't understand the complexities." "I understand betrayal." Volkov cuts him off. "I understand sacrifice. What I don't understand is why the Council would collaborate with entities that treat sentient beings as livestock." The Council Supreme rises from its seat, towering over the human delegation. "You speak of matters beyond your comprehension, Admiral. The harvesters are not merely another species. They are the oldest civilization in the galaxy. When your ancestors were using stone tools, they had already harvested 1,000 worlds. And you made a deal with them," Volkov concludes. "Our colonies for your safety." On the Leviathan, Dr. Isabella Reis leads a team of scientists examining captured harvester technology. The alien materials and design principles defy conventional understanding, suggesting scientific principles humanity has yet to discover. Their entire technological framework is built around something they call consciousness extraction. Reis explains to Captain Reeves. "They don't just take people, Captain. They process them. Extract specific neural patterns. The physical bodies are merely raw material." Reeves studies the schematics with growing horror. "For what purpose?" "Integration." Reis points to a complex device recovered from the processing center. "This machinery maps neural connections and transfers them to artificial substrates. We found evidence they've been doing this for millions of years, across thousands of species." Lieutenant Chen joins them, her face ashen after reviewing the recovered files. "It's not random collection," she says. "They target specific traits. On New Proxima, they separated colonists by cognitive specialties. Engineers, mathematicians, artists. They were categorizing us." The implications settle heavily on Reeves. A civilization that harvests consciousness itself, not just for food or resources, but for evolution. Reis finishes. "They incorporate desirable traits from other species into their collective. It's how they've advanced so rapidly compared to other civilizations. They're not innovating. They're stealing the innovative capacity of others." In the council chamber, the Dravidi representatives' crystalline form pulses with agitation. "You've killed their collectors, Admiral. That has never happened before." Their response will be disproportionate. "Show her," the Council Supreme orders reluctantly. A new hologram appears. A massive fleet of harvester vessels moving through deep space. Unlike the collection ships at New Proxima, these are clearly designed for war. At the center of the formation floats a vessel so large it defies comprehension. A construct the size of Earth's moon, bristling with weapons emplacements, and surrounded by what appear to be smaller support craft. This was recorded by our deep space monitoring stations 3 days ago, the Council Supreme explains. The Harvester Dominion is coming, Admiral. Not with collectors, but with their Warfleet. A fleet that has erased entire civilizations more advanced than your own. Volkov studies the hologram without visible reaction. How long do we have? 6 days until they reach your colonial sphere. Perhaps 12 until they locate Earth itself. The Admiral's expression remains composed, but her eyes harden with resolve. Then we have preparations to make. She turns to leave, but pauses at the chamber entrance. One question, Supreme. In all your records, has any species ever fought back successfully against the Harvesters? The Council Supreme's many eyes blink in sequence. Never. That is why we chose accommodation over extinction. Volkov smiles thinly. Then perhaps it's time someone showed you a third option. As the human delegation departs, the council chamber erupts in heated debate. The Alteri representative, youngest member of the council, approaches the Supreme privately. What if the humans succeed where we failed? The Alteri asks. What if there is another way? The Supreme regards the younger species with ancient, weary eyes. Then we will have much to answer for, little one. Much indeed. The asteroid belt of Alpha Centauri becomes a hive of frenetic activity as the human fleet deploys millions of specialized devices throughout the region. Engineer teams work in pressurized suits, their movements precise despite the urgency of their task. Each device they place is deceptively small, no larger than a coffee mug, but contains enough antimatter to vaporize a city block. On the Leviathan's tactical deck, Captain Reeves studies the holographic battle plan taking shape before him. The swirling patterns of asteroids, moons, and projected ship movements create a complex dance of gravitational influences and firing solutions. It won't work if we fight conventionally, Lieutenant Chen points out, manipulating the simulation to show various outcomes. Even with our technological surprises, they overwhelm us through sheer numbers in every scenario. General Okoi nods in agreement. Standard military doctrine fails against an enemy of this size. We need to think differently. He gestures to the hologram. Show me the results for Operation Mosaic. The simulation shifts, displaying a radically different approach. Instead of the human fleet operating as a unified force, it splinters into dozens of independent strike teams. Ships appear to retreat randomly, only to regroup and strike from unexpected vectors. The pattern seems chaotic, almost nonsensical at first glance. This looks like a recipe for disaster, Commander Takeda observes. We're violating every principle of fleet cohesion. Exactly, Chen responds. The Harvesters operate as a hive mind. Their tactics rely on predictable responses from their prey. Every species they've encountered has either fled in panic or attempted to form defensive perimeters. She manipulates the simulation again. What happens when the prey doesn't behave like prey? The holographic harvester fleet falters in its advance, portions breaking formation to chase apparent vulnerabilities, only to encounter devastating ambushes. Wolves hunting wolves, Reeves murmurs. But it requires perfect coordination between independent units. One mistake and the strategy falls apart. Dr. Reyes steps forward, her research team having completed their analysis of harvester psychology. They experience confusion when faced with inefficient resource expenditure, she explains. Their entire civilization is built around maximum extraction with minimum effort. They literally cannot comprehend why a species would sacrifice themselves without gain. But we aren't sacrificing without gain, Reeves counters. Every loss we accept creates an opening elsewhere. They won't understand that, Rise insists. Not initially. Their response to unexpected resistance is to increase force proportionally, not to reassess strategy. It gives us a window of opportunity. On Earth, Admiral Volkov appears before the United Earth Defense Council. The chamber is filled with representatives from every nation, colonial governor, and military branch. The atmosphere is tense with the knowledge of what approaches. The battle won't be won at Alpha Centauri, Volkov states plainly. Even if our trap succeeds, the harvesters will eventually reach Earth. We need to prepare our home defenses. The defense plans she presents are both audacious and terrifying. Converting orbital platforms into weapon emplacements, establishing planetary shield generators, evacuating civilian populations to underground shelters. Most controversial is the activation of the planetary defense grid, massive electromagnetic cannons built beneath the ocean floor, capable of launching projectiles at relativistic speeds. These weapons could destroy our own atmosphere if misused. The Chinese representative objects. If the harvesters reach Earth's surface, we won't have an atmosphere to worry about, Volkov counters. A communication interrupts the meeting. A message from the Alteri ambassador. The youngest council species has made its decision. 5 Alteri warships, equipped with their unique phase-shifting technology, have broken from the council fleet and are en route to join the human defense force. We will not stand by while another species is harvested, the Alteri ambassador declares. Perhaps it is time the galaxy learned there is strength in standing together rather than sacrificing the few to save the many. As the message ends, other communications begin arriving from unexpected sources. Minor species offering ships, technologies, intelligence. The ripple effect of humanity's defiance spreads, awakening long-dormant hopes that perhaps the harvesters can be stopped. The trap is set. The bait is in position. The galaxy holds its breath. The Harvester Armada materializes at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system like a dark tide. Hundreds of vessels surrounding a central craft, so massive it distorts nearby space with its gravitational pull. Their formation is not military but methodical, designed for efficient collection rather than combat. At the center, the world ship pulses with energy readings that defy human comprehension. On the Leviathan's bridge, the crew falls silent at the sight of the enemy fleet. The tactical display struggles to catalog all the vessels, their numbers far exceeding even the worst projections. Their flagship is twice the size we anticipated. Commander Takeda reports, her voice steady despite the implications. Energy readings suggest weapons capable of planetary bombardment. Captain Reeves absorbs this information without visible reaction. Years of training have prepared him for this moment, facing impossible odds with calm resolve. Status of our distributed force groups. All in position, Captain. Strike teams report ready. The Alteri vessels have integrated with Group 7. Reeves opens a fleet-wide channel, his voice reaching every human and allied vessel in the system. This is Captain Reeves. You've all studied the battle plan. You know what we face. The harvesters have spent millennia treating sentient beings as resources to be collected and processed. Today, we show them that humanity is not livestock. He pauses, aware that these may be the last orders many will hear. Trust your training. Trust each other. Remember New Proxima. Execute Phase 1. Throughout the system, human vessels power down to minimal emissions, becoming nearly invisible against the background radiation of space. Only the Leviathan and 5 other capital ships maintain active profiles, presenting themselves as apparent defenders at the system's core. The Harvester fleet advances without hesitation, their sensors probing ahead. A communication reaches the human fleet, a synthesized voice layered with harmonics beyond human vocal range. Attention Resource Colony Designate Human. The message begins, its clinical tone chilling in its detachment. Your resistance at Outpost New Proxima constitutes inefficient resource expenditure. Surrender your primary population centers immediately to facilitate optimal collection. Compliance will result in prioritized processing for suitable specimens. Lieutenant Chen's hands tighten on her tactical console. They're still treating us like cattle. Captain Reeves activates the response channel. This is Captain James Reeves of the Earth Defense Fleet. You attacked our people. You took them as specimens. He meets Chen's eyes across the bridge, his expression grim but determined. Here is our response. He cuts the communication and gives a single command. Execute. Throughout the asteroid field, human stealth vessels suddenly power up their engines, accelerating thousands of asteroids toward precise coordinates. The Harvester fleet, expecting conventional weapons, fails to register the threat until the first kinetic impactors slam into their outlying vessels at tremendous velocity. Simultaneously, the antimatter mines strategically placed throughout the system detonate in sequence, creating a rippling wave of destruction that tears through the Harvester formation. The explosions aren't random. They're precisely calculated to herd the enemy fleet toward prepared kill zones. The Harvester response is immediate and overwhelming. Energy weapons capable of boiling away oceans target the visible human capital ships. The Leviathan shudders as its shields strain against forces they were never designed to withstand. Shields at 63%, reports the defensive systems officer, shouting over the blare of warning alarms. Multiple breaches on decks 17 through 22. Stay on course, reads orders, watching as the tactical display updates. The Harvester fleet is splitting its attention, portions breaking formation to pursue human ships that appear to be fleeing in disarray. They're taking the bait. Throughout the system, the human fleet executes the most complex battle maneuver ever attempted. Operation Mosaic comes to life as seemingly random ship movements suddenly coalesce into devastating attack runs from multiple vectors simultaneously. The wolves have shown their teeth, and the hunt has begun. 3 days into the battle, the Leviathan bears little resemblance to the pristine warship that entered the Alpha Centauri system. Entire sections of its hull have been torn away, exposing internal decks to vacuum. Emergency force fields flicker erratically, struggling to maintain atmosphere in critical areas. The once orderly bridge is now a makeshift command center relocated to Engineering Deck 7 after a direct hit obliterated the original command deck. Captain Reeves studies damage reports with blood-crusted fingers, a hasty bandage wrapped around his head. The right sleeve of his uniform hangs empty, the arm lost when a support beam collapsed during the last Harvester assault. "Status of Battle Group 3, he asks, his voice hoarse from hours of shouting orders through failing communication systems. Commander Takeda, her face streaked with soot and exhaustion, checks the tactical display. The Dauntless and Indomitable are still operational. The Valiant, she pauses. The Valiant rammed a Harvester cruiser 40 minutes ago, both vessels destroyed. Reeves nods grimly. The human fleet has adopted increasingly desperate tactics as the battle progresses. When critical systems fail, captains don't retreat. They turn their crippled vessels into kinetic weapons, ramming the largest Harvester ships they can reach. And the Harvester flagship, still operational, but it's changed position 3 times in the last hour. They seem confused by our tactics. Dr. Rice confirms this assessment. The Harvester communication patterns have shifted dramatically. They're sending more frequent coordination signals to their fleet. The hive mind is struggling to adapt. A Marine lieutenant rushes into the makeshift bridge. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Chen requests immediate authorization for Operation Spearhead. Reeves looks up sharply. Spearhead wasn't approved. It's a suicide mission. She says they found a vulnerability in the world ship's defensive grid, a temporary opening created by the Alteri phase ship's last attack. Reeves weighs the options. Operation Spearhead, Chen's contingency plan for a direct assault on the Harvester command ship, had been deemed too risky during planning. The chances of success were minimal, the certainty of casualties absolute. "How many volunteers?" he asks finally. 17, sir, all from the new Proxima rescue operation. Reeves closes his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of command. Tell her she has authorization, and tell her to come back if she can. In the Leviathan's launch bay, Lieutenant Commander Chen oversees final preparations for the mission. Her strike team loads into a modified stealth shuttle, a vessel designed to appear as debris to Harvester sensors. Each team member wears an experimental phase suit adapted from Alteri technology, allowing them to briefly shift out of normal spacetime, becoming intangible for a few crucial seconds. The window will be exactly 47 seconds. Chen briefs them, her voice steady despite the mission's implications. When the Alteri ships make their final run, The world ship's defenses will reconfigure to counter their phase shift. That reconfiguration creates a blind spot here. She highlights a section of the massive vessel on the holographic display. Once inside, we proceed to the central processor. Intelligence from captured harvester technologies suggests their consciousness repository is located there. We plant the quantum disruptor and evacuate before detonation. A young Marine looks up. And if we can't evacuate in time? Chen meets his eyes. Then we ensure the disruptor activates regardless. The shuttle launches, appearing to drift aimlessly amid the battlefield debris. The remaining Alteri vessels, despite heavy damage, execute one final coordinated attack. Their ships phase in and out of normal space, becoming briefly intangible before rematerializing inside harvester shields to deliver devastating strikes. As predicted, the world ship's defenses reconfigure, creating a momentary blind spot. The stealth shuttle accelerates through the opening, its engines pushing to maximum burn for a brief critical moment before cutting power. It impacts against the world ship's outer hull with precisely calculated force, enough to embed itself without triggering defense systems. Chen leads her team through the breach, phase suits activating as they encounter the first interior barriers. They materialize inside the harvester vessel. 17 humans with explosive charges and grim determination, deep within the heart of an enemy that has harvested civilizations for millions of years. The most dangerous boarding action in human history has begun. The reconstruction of Earth's defense fleet begins amid solemn ceremony. On orbital platforms and lunar shipyards, workers labor around the clock to rebuild what was nearly lost. The cost of victory hangs heavy. Of the 57 warships that comprised humanity's secret fleet, only 14 remain operational. Another 11 drift as salvageable hulks, their crews evacuated but their structures recoverable. In a medical bay aboard the orbital station Everest, Captain Reeves watches the ceremony through a viewport, his newly grafted synthetic arms still adjusting to neural integration. Dr. Rice monitors his vital signs, her own injuries evident in the careful way she moves. They're calling it the Battle of Alpha Centauri, Rice comments, nodding toward a news broadcast playing silently in the corner, already being written into history books. History should remember the ships we lost, Reeves replies quietly. The Valiant, the Defiant, the Thermopylae. Each name carries the weight of hundreds of lives sacrificed. And the harvesters? Rice asks. The council representatives are claiming we didn't destroy them completely. We didn't need to. Reeves flexes his synthetic fingers, testing their response. Chen's team did exactly what they set out to do. The quantum disruptor severed the connection between the patriarch and the collective. Without that central consciousness, they're just confused individuals, still dangerous, but no longer a unified force. The door slides open, and Captain Chen enters, her new rank insignia still shiny on her uniform collar. Her promotion after leading the successful boarding action was immediate and unanimous. The physical and psychological toll of the mission shows in her eyes, but her posture remains straight, her determination undiminished. The council representatives have arrived, she announces. Admiral Volkov requests your presence at the negotiations, if you're able. In the Grand Chamber of United Earth Headquarters, representatives from every human world gather alongside delegates from the reformed Galactic Council. The massive circular room, with its transparent dome revealing Earth's blue sphere beyond, was designed for this very purpose. Humanity's formal entrance into galactic politics as equals, not subordinates. Admiral Volkov stands before the assembled diplomats, her dress uniform bearing the battle honors of Alpha Centauri. Beside her, representatives from the liberated New Proxima colony and the Alteri delegation occupy positions of prominence. The harvester threat has been neutralized, Volkov states, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. Not through appeasement or sacrifice, but through unity and resistance. For millennia, the Council's policy was to sacrifice the few to protect the many. Today, we begin a new policy. We protect all, or we protect none. The Council Supreme, diminished in both stature and authority, rises to speak. The harvesters may be scattered, but they are not extinct. Other threats exist in the galaxy that you cannot imagine. Humanity's Warfleet, impressive though it proved to be, cannot protect everyone. Perhaps not alone. Volkov concedes, but we don't intend to stand alone. She gestures to the Altari delegation and representatives from a dozen formerly protected species who have pledged alliance with humanity. The Galactic Defense Initiative begins today. Any world, any species that wishes protection will receive it, not as subordinates to be sacrificed when convenient, but as equals with shared responsibility. As the diplomatic proceedings continue, Captain Chen slips away to a private observation deck. A communication terminal activates, displaying a star chart with dozens of highlighted systems. Distress calls from worlds beyond Council space. Pleas for help from species facing threats the Council had ignored. General Okoi joins her, studying the map. We can't answer them all, he observes. Not yet. We're still rebuilding. We start with one, Chen replies, selecting a system near the outer rim where a developing civilization faces extinction from a stellar anomaly. Then another. The Council ignored these calls for millennia. We won't. From the observation deck, they watch as construction drones swarm around the skeletal frame of a new vessel, larger than the Leviathan, incorporating technologies scavenged from the Harvester world ship. The ship's name gleams on its partially completed hull, EFS Phoenix. From the ashes, Okoi murmurs. Chen nods, her expression resolute. We answer the call. All of them.